guys, I'm going to play with the Zoom. There we go. Get out, muscle spasm in the back just when I open my mouth. Good afternoon, everybody. For those that have come on the replay, it's, 2:51, so there's like 9 minutes before the actual live starts. This is just going to be random chit-chat in the beginning, so if you guys want to fast forward, feel free to. Otherwise, hang out with us for a few minutes. Welcome, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. We had a crazy cold snap that just came through this week. Yesterday it was in the 70s. The day before, I don't even know if we hit 70 for a high. It was cold all day, which is weird because we've been having 90-degree days, to all of a sudden have a day that's all gloomy, overcast, and in the 60s is really weird. I should stop moving things around. Let me refresh my page. I know people up north and northeast area and all, they really got hit with that crazy late winter weather. I thought you guys might have gotten a little tease of spring or something like that, but nope, you guys got that crazy snow and ice and freezing rain and all that nasty stuff. Let's see how close to the delay it is this time. It's not too bad. No school's closed here. A lot of crazy stuff in the news, but no school closing at least. All except for one school now has opened since the hurricane. And, well, maybe two. I know the one down the road for me, still trying to decide whether or not they want to demolish it and build a new one, or just build a new one on a different site, or remodel it or something. So those kids are still portables, and they don't have electricity. They're working off generators still. I thought more people had their power back on, but there's still a lot of people with generators. Here we are. Let's see, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So in a couple weeks, it'll be 6 months after the hurricane, and there's still a lot of people without power and water. Oh, that sneaky weather where it's warm in the house and the sun is out, so you think you're good, and then you go outside and that wind blows or something and you get cold. Have all of my stuff all lined up nice and neat. I was going to do the preparation this morning. I don't like to prepare for the live stream early in the week because then I forget whatever I might have practiced or thought about telling you guys. So I was going to do it this morning. Then my daughter wanted to stop by and say hi. So she stopped by. And I just started getting things ready about an hour ago again. Why break with tradition? Hello from Sweden, Jeanette. Hello, hello. I am down in Florida, where I think the sun is shining. It looks like it's coming through the curtain. I went outside once today. It was quite comfortable. I don't know what it is here. It's got to be up. It's got to be up around 81, if not more. Since I'm recording on my phone, I can't check. Excuse me. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready for a nap. Is it nap time? Can we have group nap time? We'll just let the live stream go and I'll just put my head down and snore for a while, and you guys can take a nap too. I give everyone permission. Yeah, see that? I'm so tired. I've got no comments for anything today. Excuse me while I yawn. My apologies for making everybody else yawn. You want to see something that I've been working on? What did I do recently? So this is one. This is next Friday's tutorial. I have it all nice and neat. But we're going to make bunting using charm squares. I wanted to use up some of the polka dots because not a lot of people like polka dots, but I feel that for decorations and bunting, it's appropriate, it works. I don't know the crossover from Celsius to Fahrenheit, but 20 sounds comfortable, right? Is that nice weather? Because isn't it double it and add 20 or something like that? Hi, Sue. Hi, Jay Murphy. We're trying to boost up our energy and get motivated here. You'll see these in future Whip It Wednesdays, but again, I was in holiday mode. Still on an Easter kick, but I feel like this isn't actually 100% Easter. It can get used for summertime. So some scrappy carrots. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen this already. This one is from, oh gosh, Sewing Something. Ugh. Let me see, because it's a pattern I picked up on Etsy. Oh yeah, today's St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to pop over to another page for a second. Find my Etsy. Because this was a really fun pattern. It's different than what I made, so if you look for it based on that, you're not going to be able to find it. So I want to show you what it looks like. I've been having problems with my internet for a bit. Oh, it's not going to be there. Of course, I have a regular Etsy account and a business one. It is all right. You're gonna have to go to my oh, here it is. It's the Carrot Top Quilt Block pattern by Slow Internet. So here's what it looks like. It is by the Sewing Loft. I can see here. There we go. So that's what it's supposed to look like, but of course, you know, I changed everything up and I had to make mine totally scrappy. So let me come back and find you guys. There we go. And since today's St. Patrick's Day, I should have brought that one out to start with. I made 2 of these, and this one's the one that's going to go in the shop. And I have another one very similar that I am keeping for myself. I know it's a little late. We're past St. Patrick's Day, but as usual, I'm running a little bit behind. But what we're going to work on today, now that I've filled up that little bit of space and time, find my chair. We're going to work on this wedge. I've had a few people ask questions about it and how to make it and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you how. First of all, I'll tell you how I came across these pieces of fabric and how I decided what to do, what I did with them. And then we're going to try to do something similar without having the same tools that this person had. I played a little bit with the Dresden plate maker that I have, and I just wanted to see what it would look like with a little mug rug. So I cut out some and I just made a quick little mug rug. But this one had to been used with a different degree wedge ruler, because here is the basic. This is a 9.5 inch layer cake Dresden plate by Missouri Quilt Company. This is the Easy Quilting Easy Dresden by Darlene Zimmerman that I think most people are used to seeing. I actually have 2 of these or 3 of these. It's just one of those things that seems like everyone collects them or something like that. So I have this one goes up to 8 inches. But I think that this one is actually made using a wedge ruler, which has a narrower degree, so it has a narrower design. Now remember, there are seam allowances, but it is narrower than what I have. So when I put this on, let me pull it up top for you. So I'm not going to get the same exact look, but I'm going to show you 2 different ways. So right here and right there is the dotted lines for the seam allowance. So you can see how narrower this is. But if you don't have the ruler, or you don't want them thick and chunky like this, I'm going to show you how to cut it out once with this, and then we're going to cut out a second one, and I'm going to show you how to kind of fake it. So we're going to make a wonky, scrappy version, and then we're going to make the proper, everything's cut using a ruler, and we're all kinds of fancy and everything like that. So there is my mug rug. Here is my example. This one is in the shop, if anyone likes that one. And what I brought to the table is these purple fabrics. I have white for the linings, and then I have this really pretty butterfly. I can't see my phone. Really pretty butterfly fat quarter. And I thought it would work well with this aqua-y color. It comes up a little bit different on the screen, and a little bit more blue. Well, that's not too bad from what I'm seeing. So I thought we'd make those, and I have a pink zipper for this one and a purple for that. So we're going to make the zipper pouches. So what I need to do is I need to decide on what size I want everything to be. When I look at this one, I have the box corners, so we're going to make one that's tall enough to be able to box the corners again. So when I stretch this out and I measure it, it's coming out to be, we're going to say, with seam allowances and everything, 9 inches tall. And then if we open up the sides so that they're stretched out. Oh, it's melty. Melty means messy. So this is about 11. So if we make ours, we'll say we'll make it like 9.5 by 11.5. I need to write that down, just so that we have a plan. 9.5 by 11.5. We're gonna get whatever we get. Like these, I didn't have an idea. I have 2 separate ones. I didn't see the other one, so I think it might have sold, or it's buried in the box somewhere. But I made these based on these wedges that someone had sent me. I had to add an extra wedge on the edge just to square them up because of the angles and everything on it. So I didn't have a plan of I'm going to make this or that. I just split what I had in half, and I made half for this pouch and half for the other one. Oh, I had to add an extra one in here. I can see this is my fabric. But it all goes really well together, so that worked out really well. So I have my fat quarters, and if we're going to go 9.5 by 11.5, I'm going to go ahead and just cut a rectangle out of this. so I'm not dealing with all of the fabric, and then I can just go ahead. Let me give this a quick iron. Then I can go ahead and just easily cut the wedges instead of dealing with a bunch of fabric. Now I don't know how many wedges I'm going to get going across, but I can always cut more. After all of that, Sue, you didn't get much snow at all? Snow is always so nice. It always looks so nice and clean, but the closer you're getting to springtime, the less and less you want the snow. So if I want this to be about 9.5 inches, you know me, I don't mind scraps, so I'm just going to go ahead and just cut this at the 12.5 inch mark just to give myself enough room. And then cut off the salvages on the top, make sure everybody's lined up nice and neat. Need a spot of iron on the fold. I prepped all of the fabrics except for this purple one, of course. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a lot of wind. So I'm just going to cut off the salvage just so I don't have to deal with it. Looks like I need a new blade soon. Save my salvage. Now, if you haven't used, thanks Giovanna. If you haven't used any of these Dresden rulers, what they're meant to do is you have a straight edge across the top, which mine, of course, isn't very straight. So instead of just playing, let me give myself a good straight edge. That's the same step I forgot when I was playing with the mug rug too. So you can cut just a strip, like if you're doing Dresden blocks and you're doing the Dresden plates, like you're gonna make the flower or something, you're gonna decide which size you're gonna make. So if you say you're gonna make a 9-inch one, right? So you're gonna cut your fabric 9 inches wide. So we would end up cutting this off down here. And you take your ruler and you'd cut one this way, and then you'd flip it and you'd line up the edges again and cut it. And you would just keep cutting and flipping across your strip. So if we want this to be, we're going for 9.5 inches. I'm gonna go with the top of this ruler. Pretty sure that will be, yep, it's 10 inches. So I can go ahead and cut myself a 10-inch strip. Excuse me for today, my brain is not working very well. I think I've got a migraine starting and it's just messing with my mind a little bit. Takes me a few minutes or a few extra steps to do things because of that. All right, so here it is, my strip. I'll have to put it this way. So I've chosen mine to be 10 inches, is that what I said? Yeah. And I went with 10 inches just in case anything at the top or bottom. As I'm doing this, if I have wonky edges up here at the top or bottom, I can trim them up. I'm not actually putting anything into my zipper pouch, so it doesn't need to be a specific size, but I'm just trying to play with it a little bit and come up with something. So I can't go by this to see the wedges because mine are wider. But if I'm going to go with, let me bring it over to the measuring thing here. If I want it to be 11.5 inches wide, 1, 2, 3, So it looks like I'm probably going to get about 5 that I'll need for this little zipper pouch. And worst case scenario, if once I get it all sewn together, it doesn't work, I can always cut it up, trim it down. I can do something with it, right? So I have my 2 layers together so that everything is good. I have it lined up even across the top. I'll make sure I am in the picture here. Hold it in place. Now, I've been using the Creative Grids rulers a lot lately, and boy, I really do like the fact that they are non-slip. Makes it very helpful, especially with a project that like this. Jackie, you had the start of something before the rain hits. That's right. I thought it was sinuses and stuff, but it's just not quite going away. I mean, it still could be. It just feels a little different. So I'm going to cut down one side. Now, for safety reasons, I will pull this out because I know better than to try to. A lot of people will cut like that, and that doesn't work for me. Either the ruler will slide or I will slice myself open. So I'll just make sure everything's lined up. So here's some of those skinny ones. Now, maybe these were left over when they were cutting their Dresdens, and maybe this was the first strip, because that's actually what those look like. So maybe that's all that was, is it was leftovers from when they were doing that. I mean, that's highly possible, because honestly, that's what they look like. But I'm going to show you on the other one how we can just wing it. I won't make this one all the way through. We'll cut both of them, and then we'll start talking about sewing them. So I cut this one first this way. So now I'm going to spin it. Did I do something wrong? I had it cut this way first, so now I'm going to spin it this way. There we go. But I just noticed something is when I had it the wrong way and I put it this way, if you're working with a directional fabric and you cut them all in the same direction and you don't spin a blade, look at the thing we're going to get right here. Since we have extra fabric, I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and I'm going to show you this one, because that one again is starting to look a lot like that. Hey, you want to see if we can be fancy? Hold the ruler good. Go left-handed. Go slow. Haha, look, I did it. So here, look, I have another long and skinny one, and if you look at this, it's pretty close to that. That's interesting. But it's definitely the wrong size for what I'm making. But that's interesting. Clear medical tape, I did hear that, yeah. But I wasn't thinking straight and I couldn't remember anything. So there was that. All right, now that was my opposite, so I already have this. I'm going to put it this way. I don't know, with all the, oh, that one's already cut, ha 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 ha. With all the cleaning and purging I've been doing in the house, I don't even know where half of my stuff is or what I kept and didn't keep. I knew I threw away a lot of tape because it was old. When the outside of your tape is sticky and the inside isn't. There are die cutters, like the Go has the Dresden that you can cut, but I believe that's a one size thing. So you could use your Cricut thingy there. I don't know how well you can, what you can program it to do and all of that stuff, but I imagine you can do something. If I don't use them all, I will use them for something else. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut all the way across so I don't have to come back and cut more later. It's just one little bit here. There we go. So here's all my blades. Now, if I were making a flower, they would go, we haven't done these yet for a video. And I'm sorry, I should flip my mat over. Can you guys see on the purple? Should I flip over to the dark side? But if you were making these, you would sew them and fold them, not just like this, but you know, they would go around and around like this, and you would create your big Dresden circle. So you'd have that big plate, the Dresden plate with all the little petals and stuff on it. But what we want to do is we want to sew these together into the zipper pouch. So we can decide what we want on the edge. Maybe we want the purple on the edge, and then we just flip them and alternate them so that you can create that rectangle back again. Stitch them together. When I'm working with the smaller strips, the narrower strips, I tend to use smaller than a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You can sort of kind of see the purple. I'm going to move this, and I think I'm going to flip. I don't know if I want to flip it over. I can't remember if we can see very well with the black side, but I can choose to, let me see, I still have an angle here, so I need one more. I have to see what they're all sewn together and how straight or crooked they are. So this gives me kind of a wedge shape on here. On this one, you can see where I lost it in the binding, but I put little half ones there just to see what it looks like. You could always just make an extra strip, trim it up or something like that, so you don't have to have the full wedge. You can trim it up after you quilt it and stuff like that. So that's one way. If you want to be really particular and you want everything to be exact and to match, but you're hanging out on my channel and we don't always do things, or I don't always do things that are matchy-matchy. So there's another way you can do it also. Let me put these over here. So we have these. They are fun. The flowered one was a fat quarter, and the other one was yardage. Can't tell if it was left over from a 108 inch, but no, I don't think so. I think it's just, oh yeah, it's just Marbles by Moda is what the purple is. So this one, I thought it was a fat quarter, but it's got a chunk missing. So we'll be mindful of that. I'll put this one on the bottom because it's got selvages. Excuse me while I reach across you. I needed a new 6 by 24 inch ruler. I don't know if I've talked about it before, but I ended up picking up a Creative Grids ones because I wanted to see how well. I have the hardest time with this long ruler to keep it from sliding. What do I have? I have a Fiskars, and it's probably 15 years old. I can't see half of the lines on it anymore, so it's really a mess. So I got this Creative Grid one, and I'm like, wow, it sticks to the fabric and everything so well. There's times where I have to actually lift it up. I can't, move it. So what was great is when I was doing this, I put the weight on it like everyone suggested. I put my hand on it. I'd hold on. I'd try to do the pinky on the edge thing, and it would just slide all over, and I would never get a straight edge. But now this one, it sticks really well, so I can cut more than one layer of fabric, because sometimes one layer of fabric slides more than 4 layers. And then for this one, we'll go ahead and stick with the 10 inches. I have to find it. I can't see it. The little squares that they have where it says 2 by 2, 4 by 4, 6 by 8 in the corner, that's really great and all, but it makes it hard to line up the ruler if you're using the mat for your measurements. Before I cut, let me just make sure. Yep, that works. I'm not going to use that ruler, but I just want to have it the same size. I need to switch rulers when I'm cutters when I'm live. so I don't forget to close it. When I'm working by myself, I either tuck my ruler underneath the sewing machine table, my cutter. I put it underneath the big extension table so that I don't accidentally hit it, or I remember to close it. But when I'm working with you guys, I always forget. I love the butterflies too. And I'm really into aqua right now. So I've been having a lot of fun with aqua. Okay. Probably should keep that ruler. So what we can do here too is we can just cut our own wedges. So maybe we have a wedge of something and we thought, oh, I really like that wedge, or whatever. You do that like stack and slash and flip them all around and do whatever. I'm just going to say, oh, let me see. I want to start with my first angle, so I will give myself a little angle here. Ooh, I kind of just like that. So what is that? That is, let me flip the, this ruler is 6.5 inches wide. I'm not used to it, so it always throws me off. So this one is about 2 inches. So if I line this up on my mat, I'm just making this up as I go along, guys, so just bear with me. We are just figuring out as I go. And this is what I do when I just have fun on the weekends and I'm just sewing for, oh, that edge is not straight. No wonder why I'm having a hard time. I'm wondering why I can't get it to line up, because it's not a straight line. I don't normally worry about having straight edges and stuff, but sometimes it helps. So I have to lift the ruler up, it doesn't slide, which is good. It's what you want. You don't want it to slide. Okay, now we'll try. So now I just take my ruler. I want to make sure I'm in a spot where you guys, oh yeah, you can see me. So I have it lined up against the line on my cutting mat, and I slide it down just a little bit so I can see a line up there. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go over 2 inches. And I'm going to bring it down to the 1/2 inch mark, because I don't want to come right to a point, because these don't all come to a point. They look like, they're always cut off at the bottom and stuff like that. So you can go to a point if you want. The point's going to get in my way. So I'll just go, I'm going to say it's 2 inches wide. Now I have my fabric doubled up. Remember, I have 2 layers of fabric. So I have my main color and my contrast color. So this is like cutting curves. When I cut them apart, they're going to go back together because they were cut at the same time. So if I cut that one, now this one, I might use this for the edge of the fabric or the edge of the pouch, I don't know. And then here, I can slide it down a little and put it on an exact line. So I can go 2 inches over here and a 1/2 inch over there. Oh, that gives me a perfectly straight. So I don't want it to be perfectly straight, so I want it to be a little bit wide. So I'm just going to move my ruler and I'm going to look at the width of my wedge. And I want it to be a steeper angle than this, which I'm getting, and it's narrower, so that's going to work. So I don't know what degree this is, but I think there's like a 15-degree wedge ruler you can get. There's one that's really long, like the 24.5 inch ruler, 24-inch ruler. And you can make Christmas tree skirts with it. I think I have it in my Amazon wish list. It's going to be something I want to pick up later on this year. So I'm going to make it a little wide. Stick with the 1/2 inch. So I'm cutting this one at 3 inches at the top and a 1/2 inch at the bottom. And that might be the difference just because of the first one I cut to get the right angles. Now, if I want to keep up with that, it'll give me a nice straight one all the way across. I can take this and flip it over so I can see the aqua. And then I can just cut my next one. Just make sure you're not cutting through your fabric. Or you can once again line it up at the 3 inch mark and the 1/2 inch mark, and you're all set to go. Whenever I'm copycatting a fabric, I never use the next one. I never take this one that I just cut and flip it over. I always go with the original, because if I cut this one a 1/16 of an inch bigger or an 1/8 of an inch bigger, it's going to get bigger and bigger as it goes down. So flip it over just so I can see the fabric, not putting butterflies on butterflies. And again, it's still going to be 3 inches because that's what we've established. I'm sure you can go onto Google and find some type of a wedge. You can type in, 15-degree wedge, 22-degree wedge, and just find something that's going to work for you. The white fabric, the back of the butterflies keeps peeking out. And then you can create a template. You can tape it onto your ruler if you're making an entire quilt. I just keep moving my ruler just to make sure I'm in the right spot. And that gives me 2. I think I'm going to need some more. And it's just going to automatically alternate just because of the way you're cutting it. Even with doing this, you could put a line of tape. I have this, you can use the, what is this stuff called? The washi tape. You can put washi tape on it, or I have this glow line tape. I could put a line right down here after I do my first one, so that I know if I put it on the outside that the fabric is going to butt up against the tape all the time. That'll work if you're going to do more, because you can make this into a quilt block. You can make it into any type of bag or a pillow. So that gives me, let me do one more and see what we have. Now mine might not be perfect by doing this, but I can always trim it up anyways. When you quilt a bag, it's not going to be the 16-inch Dresden wedge, the 16-degree Dresden. I don't know. Totally honest, I have no idea. I don't think these tell you what the degree is, but there's different ones. Because I've seen videos before where people do like sew-alongs and they have different wedge rulers, and sometimes you get like 22 petals in your Dresden flower or Dresden plate, and some people get like 15 or something, or whatever number, and that's because the degree of the wedge is different. But you can just wing it. I mean, not everyone had tools back when, right? When all those people first started sewing, our grandparents, our grandmothers, and great-grandmothers, back in A Little House in the Prairie time, I always like to say, they did whatever they could do. They didn't have stuff. The Amish just make up their own things. They don't have, I'm just cleaning up because it's really bothering me. They didn't have all that stuff ready for them. They didn't have all the patterns and tools and stuff. And I probably would imagine even now some of them still just kind of make things up as they go along. I thought I was going to need a little mat, but I don't. All right. The extra fabric. 10-degree Dresden. 16 inches. I can't see, the writing is so small. Yeah, see, 10-degree, maybe that's what these were. Or again, like I said, they look like they sent me just the cutoffs, because some of them were a little straight on the edge and some of them weren't. So I thought, that's interesting. So if I keep everybody together, let's see if we can do this. Let me pull in my bag. You can look at these in 2 different ways. You can look and say, if you put the wider part at the top, you have more of a bit of a straight edge to go against, and you have more fabric showing. Or if you want your contrast to be more showing, then you put it that way. Does that make sense? Thanks, Giovanna. Sometimes I'll sit here and I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I'm not going to run to Joann's and spend the money, because if I leave my house, I'm going to lose my motivation. I'm not going to get what I want done. I'll be like, oh, well, since I'm already out, I may as well stop right here at the store and pick up milk and butter or whatever. So I'm just going to flip these. I probably have too many, but that's okay. So I just sit here and play with things and figure it out. I don't always want to spend the money too. I've been picking up a couple of specialty rulers, but they do more than just one thing. And I know over time now that I enjoy doing certain things. Like, what did I pick up? I received a gift certificate for my birthday, so I picked up some rulers and stuff. I picked up, this is a half square 4-in-1 triangle ruler from Creative Grids. I make a lot of half square triangles, and I always wanted something that I can use. It, you can leave it folded right as you sew it, flat like that before you press it open, and you can trim it with this ruler. So once I practice on it and figure out, I haven't even used it yet, I'll do a video show you guys how well that one works. I ordered my fabric for my selvage spiderweb quilt, and I picked up the Creative Grids spiderweb. But this one also makes the topsy-turvy Christmas trees. Did you guys see those this past Christmas? They had these like wonky trees that were all kind of like dancing across table runners and stuff. I watched all the videos, I fell in love with it. So I can use it for that, and I can also use this as a triangle ruler. So it's like Alton Brown says, you know, you can't just have one tool in the kitchen that does one thing. It needs to do more than one thing to come into my house. So I just sit here and play with stuff. Play with the fabric that you don't really care about. Like I had a jelly roll strip of this green fabric, which is pretty, but I don't have anything else in the house to go with it. And I had a little bit left over along a selvage of this pink. That, yeah, I would have used it for something else, but it just went together well. So I just played with it, one jelly roll strip, and let's say 2 jelly roll strips, and I didn't waste a lot of fabric, and I have a mug rug. Put something nice on the back if you want, and that way if the front doesn't come out good, you can always flip it over. So now I have these. So here is this one. I'm going to bring the purple over also, just so we can see. Now I know you got measurements, there are measurements on the rulers. We can learn all the different degrees. We have a 45, what else do we have? Oh, they're all 45s, and a 60. The 60 is really good because you can make the different triangles with that. But you can check different rulers to see if there's different things on it. As I said, you can print off, you can use protractors and compasses and all of that, or you can just wing it. I like to wing it. Now I know not everyone can do this. I totally understand that. I'm not good at following patterns. I've been working on it and practicing it so I can get better. After this is sewn together, you can decide which way is up and which way is down. I want the butterflies to be up, so that's the main look to it, and the contrast is the other way. So this time, I will put my purples down like this. These are wider, so I don't think we're going to need as many. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of those. So if I put this up high, the Reading Rainbow song just keeps going through my head for some crazy reason. So we have those. I have 2 of each color extra in case I need them, so I'm going to set that over there. One second, I've got to crack my neck. Oh. So here's the narrower, smaller degree wedges that we just winged it. And here's this. Now you can wing these and have them all be different, but you're going to get a wonky pouch. And you guys might not want wonky, so I just go ahead. That's why I went and used, whoops. I went and used all the same. So do I have them all laid out? I'm going to go ahead and stitch them together, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you ladies can just, or you ladies and gentlemen can talk among yourselves while I do this. I'm going to whip them both out so we can see what they look like when they're finished. And what I'll do is I will sew, you know, 1 to 1 in groups of 2. 2, 2. Yeah, because they're matching sets, because that's the way we cut them. Now these, when I was practicing on the Dresdens, I noticed if I have the long end to the short end and I line them up, let me see if it works on these too, which are just bigger, it should be fine. They actually match up from here to here. There's no overlap. You know, sometimes you have that 1/4 inch overlap on it because we have it in that little weird angle, but the edges, the straight edges, line up perfectly. St. Patrick's Day green, scrap fabrics. I've converted to sewing with shoes on lately. It's not as bad as I complained about all the time. I bought a pair of, they're actually running sneakers, and they're actually comfortable. They feel almost like slippers on because they're very lightweight and not heavy. And the sole is flexible, so they're not too bad. If I'm sewing with scraps and they're narrower, I'll do a narrower seam allowance. Like right now, mine's set at 6.0, just because I have to move the needle all the way over there. And if I were using the scraps that were narrower, like on the yellow and black bag, I move it over to a 6.5 and sometimes to a 7.0, because I don't need a huge seam allowance for a bag when I'm going to quilt it. So just pardon me while I'm being rude and not talking to anyone. If you have any questions, pop them up, or if you guys just want to chit chat. So if anyone has a question, I'm sure someone in the chat usually has a good answer. Do we still have people that are scared of the zippers? Hi, Kathy. I'm hanging in there. I recorded a video that I have to edit to put up probably Monday about, I'm going to be doing a few different videos between now and when we start the art quilts during a live stream on in May. Oh, you guys, you know what you can let me know in the comments is we talked about changing the day and the time, the day of the week and the time of the day for the live streams. So if everyone would want to put in what would work great for them, day of the week or time of day, even if it's just morning, afternoon, or evening. I make no guarantees on evening because my brain is usually done by then. I don't know if we'll actually make an entire pouch today. I just wanted to show you guys the main part of it so you get an idea of how these were made. I haven't been able to go into my scrap bin much lately and just play with the fabric. I've just been so busy doing things. Could pin it, of course. This one works good for you? You know, as we come into summertime, schedules get different. People are outside tending to their gardens, working on their yard, out on vacations. Totally understandable. And when everyone tends to be from the same group and we all watch about the same people on YouTube, it gets kind of hard when you're trying to make sure you're not overlapping on someone else's live stream. Sundays are church. It's nearly 9 p.m. Oh, so you're just kind of hanging out and relaxing with us. Wow, Cheryl. Yeah, I mean, moms, wouldn't you know, like, they seem to like have a tried and true pattern. Like, your dress might be different, but they're really all just kind of cut from the same, and they can just kind of wing it out like that. It's just amazing. When I was making kids' clothes, like toddlers, babies, and just younger children, like 5 to 8 years old, I had picked up a couple of books and some patterns, and it's just a basic pattern, and then you can alter it based on whether you're making shorts or if you're making pants. And things just, you know, change up just a little bit, and it was really great. Alright, it's the purple flower. It's the thread cutter from the Gypsy Quilter. There are a variety of thread cutters out there, of course. I'm just going to sneak over here. Oh wait, I can bring it over to you. I have it all set up. Ta-da! Iron, heat up, heat up. I have my traditional ginger ale. I think I'm just drinking plain ginger ale this time. Yeah, it looks plain. I've been spending a lot of time on Pinterest again. I've been collecting cactus patterns and different fruits and veggies and stuff. Since I made the pineapple, excuse me, I've been finding other ones too. Pinterest is really great because once you start looking for things, it knows what you want, and it just keeps putting up more suggestions for you. All right, iron, that's warm enough for me. So I will press these open that way. It's nice when they're big wide pieces. Yes, Kathy, they are easier. Well, if this works for everyone, and nobody else really says much in the replay, we'll just keep at it then. You guys are really good about letting me know what works and doesn't work for you. So let's see. I think this one I better do to the butterflies because that aqua's a little bit light. I've been having fun finding new scrappy words of the day, looking at the Wild and Wacky calendar or whatever, and then just doing like the random generator. I got smart and I started writing them down in my little book, my little planner. So when it comes time to make the video, I can just pull it out instead of going, scrappy word of this video is, and then there's this long pause that gets edited out while I try to come up with a word that's not super obvious like butterflies or one that I haven't used 12 times already. All right, there's that. Then we just line them back up, make sure we're going to sew everybody. I can see mine has gotten a little bit wonky, but again, quilted pouch doesn't have to be like exactly perfect to match everything. Maybe that one wasn't cut, or maybe the little aqua there is, I know I said it didn't matter, I just want to flip it the right way. It doesn't really, maybe it's a little bit thin and not as sturdy as other things. There we go. I'll just sew these together. Again, they're going to line up. It's going to look weird because of the angles and stuff, but it's going to line up nicely. I took my chance and I ordered a new chair instead of waiting. That's going to come in on Monday. I'm hoping that's going to help, because when I walk away, I had to start wearing shoes because my feet would hurt, and I walk away and my shoulders are all hunched, and I do this weird, almost, I don't know, this weird duck walk or something until I can stretch my body out when I sit in the chair too long. It's just hard to buy a chair off of Amazon if you can't sit in it first. Double wide Dresden from me and my sister designs. Oh, I don't know. Let me see. Is that what I have? I have a bucket of, I really need to show you guys these rulers and what they do and how to use them. So see, I have another Dresden. I thought that's what I had, the Strippy Stars tool. This is a rhombus. Fons and Porter triangle trimmers. Oh, it's this one. This is not what you're talking about, but this looks like such a fun pattern, and it comes with templates. They're not technically rulers, but close enough. Double wide 4-patch Dresden template. So I got it. It came in this one, and it has, I love their fabric and their patterns. Where is that? I can feel it. There it is. So this is the double wide Dresden template. It has an X in it from me and my sister's design. It's specifically for this pattern. But I know there is another version, isn't there, that is similar. I think they have one that has the different numbers on it, or if this is just it, I'm not sure. Double wide, oh, this is double wide 4-patch, my mistake. So this is the double wide 4-patch, which is different than the Dresden, because you do this thing where you make the 4 patches and you spin it, and that's just like, I don't have that ruler in here. I have that ruler though to make the twisted quilt patterns. Yes and no, I have this, but the double wide Dresden is also on my list because I love, if I can, I haven't researched to see if I can just make them using this versus doing the 4-patch, because I love those chunky little double wide Dresdens. They are so cute. So there is that. This, yeah, this is my rulers, my little rulers that I need to try container. Sidetracked. I think I'm going to get a pegboard for my next craft room because I've been hanging everything up. I've been putting my rulers up on thumbtacks here on the wall. It's fun. Yeah, sometimes, for me, it doesn't take very long to walk away from something to where I have to like pull up a video. If eventually I'm going to make more of these wrist cuffs. I keep telling myself, and I keep saying it out loud, and it hasn't happened yet. But when I do, I'm going to have to sit down and watch my video to see how to do it. I'd made so many of the bowl cozies, but I think I'm still fine now. But the last time I had to watch a video before I can make them. They say use it or lose it. Oh, my internet went in and out. You guys okay? It looks like it said the chat got disconnected. So I hope everything is okay. I have Xfinity now versus CenturyLink because it took them forever to come out and give me internet after the hurricane. And this past week was the first time I had any type of problems with the internet, but it came right back. So I'm thinking they're just still doing work because so many people are still need work done after the hurricane. One of the insurance companies went out of business. When are we moving? We're not really sure. I was talking to my daughter about it this morning. The Colorado store is opening in July. My daughter's going to go out and help them open that store. We'll all stay here. She travels every now and then to help people out a lot for like new stores and stuff. I think I'm going to go ahead and just put all these together anyways without pressing them. But the Arizona stores, because there's two of them, they're not sure which one's opening first. One of them, they bought the property and they're building a brand new store. And another one, they bought the building and they're renovating the building. And that one will open up first. We just don't know when. Now from this house, moving into my kids' house here in Cape Coral, that will be as soon as I can sell the house. I haven't put it on the market yet. Had to go speak to a lawyer about a couple things. I haven't put anything through probate yet, so after Rob's passing, so I have to take care of that stuff. But some of the companies that you can sell it to, they do the probate right then and there too. I just have to look in and see. You have to research the companies first to make sure who you're selling to it's going to be okay. I mean, once you sell your house, it's not a big deal. But if they're going to do the probate at the same time, I need to make sure, what they're doing is actually legitimate. But I've done most of the purging, and then I started doing some of the packing. I've been writing a lot of what I think I might need again. I write on the boxes, like line after line after line, like 20 things on it. So in case I need it for the crafting stuff or something, I can easily find the box. It's almost time to start packing up the fabric that I don't sew with all the time. I should have packed up the garage, all the tools and stuff when it was cool out, but I wasn't motivated. I just didn't have it in me. So I'll probably end up doing that on a hot day. That's okay, that's how it is. It's gonna be weird because been in this house now, this is coming up 21 years in October. Robbie was 3 years old when we moved here, so he doesn't know anything else. His siblings are 8 and 11 years older than him, so of course they remember. I was talking to my daughter today, saying that they've lived alone. They've lived on their own now long enough that when I move in, they know what it's like now to live on their own. So if I move in and I do things for them, it's not like totally expected. Probate, purge, and pack. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot. And if you're doing it like soon after losing a loved one or something, it's kind of hard. Rob passed away in August of 2019. I can now say that I'm just really this year starting to feel better in the past few months or so. You think you're feeling better, but you just feel better than you did. I feel normal now, like my normal self. It is kind of nice to have a lot of things that were cluttering the house gone, because Rob was terrible. He was more of a pack rat than I ever was. So he kept everything. So okay, now this one, can you see? Let me put this off. My iron down. You see how I have a big angle there, and I started with purple and I ended with the flower. Now this is already going to be wide, so this, whoa. Okay, so this is 16 inches wide. This is wider than I needed. I probably could have gotten away with, yeah, this one, take this one off and it'll be wide enough. Watch me do it the scary way. You ready? This blade's not very sharp. I'm just pulling on the fabric so the thread sticks out and I can pull the stitches. And then I'm just touching my rotary cutter to the stitches. So I'm not touching the fabric at all. And as long as I'm careful and I'm paying attention and not talking to a bunch of people, I can usually just trim it down and cut it no problem. Plus, I'm not worried about the fabric itself. I have more. There we go. So I can make another one with those that are over there. So now this is going to give me a pouch that's, yeah, that's better. So I have the option, I can take, well, I have that skinny purple one. I can put the skinny purple one on to give me a flat edge over there, so it's kind of squared up. Do I have a skinny flower one? So these are the pieces that were cut off of the edge. So if I put those on, it kind of gives me the option of having the straight edge once it's sewn on and stuff. It's not going to be perfectly straight, but it gives me a little bit closer. So you have the option of taking one of the wedges and cutting it in half and putting it there, or cutting 3/4 or something like that. Put on a full wedge, and then after you quilt it, you can just trim it. It's totally up to you and what you're looking for. This is quite narrow. It's not even going to be, I'm not even going to be able to get a 1/4 inch seam allowance down there. But remember, I'm going to quilt it, or at least put, you know, the fusible fleece on or something, and then square it up afterwards. I just want to have that wiggle room to square it up. So what might look weird now will be fine later. So I'm using that teeny tiny scant 1/4 inch. I was watching one of those real quilters that said a scant 1/4 inch doesn't exist. So I don't know. I say do what works for you. If you get the small boxes from U-Haul, they stay light, easily stacked and labeled. Anyone can pick them up and move them with you. Helping my daughter pack now again. I bought for my house and the kids' house, I bought the apartment set of boxes from Home Depot. They're pretty heavy duty and they come small, medium, and large. I started with books and magazines and stuff in the small ones, so because they're going to be heavy. The way it's looking at, because you know we're not going to want to spend a lot of money moving everybody, so we'll probably, I was looking at the U-Haul pods. I can do those from here to there and be in a reasonable price range compared to getting a big truck or driving a U-Haul truck. Having to drive a U-Haul truck and 3 cars, 5 cats, 4 adults, you know, that's a bit much. So we're gonna end up doing the U-Haul, and I have a hand truck, but it's not for very heavy duty things. I'll probably get another hand truck because they're very useful anyways. I'm always using my hand truck, so that we can just, even if we can only do 1 box at a time and put it in the pod, it'll work. We'll get it done. There are people, when the kids moved before with Justin's Heart and everything like that, they hired some people off of Facebook. So there's always people looking to help people load a U-Haul or unload it. I know we have a military group here, or a retired military group that does that stuff too. We've always moved ourselves. Yeah, the pods work out really great because they move them, especially, I mean, they don't load them for you, but they move the actual pod. You still have to put your stuff into it, but again, once this is done, I can always trim it down. Just because I've quilted it and stuff like that doesn't mean it has to be big. Which is good because I don't think this is going to work too well. I'll show you up close in a second. All right, let me zoom my camera in. Zoom. You see how it doesn't go all the way down there? But it's going to help me get like up here like that, you know? So I don't need it to really go all the way down. It'll be fine. And on this one, so this one measures about 13 inches wide. It's not laying flat because I didn't iron it. I think I'll just have to go that way. Sometimes the narrower ones like this work out better if you press them open, which is something that I absolutely refused to do for the longest time just because it's difficult. But sometimes it's just what you have to do. But be careful, as I'm seeing, I'm pulling on the fabric a little bit to make sure that the seams aren't folded underneath, but you have to be careful, especially at the wider part, because I can feel the bias stretch, which again, you know, zipper pouch, not a big deal, but the top part and the bottom part is going to get chopped off anyway. So there's that. So I can have it this way, and again, I have these angles, but this time I won't do anything about it. I'll just, because it's already so wide, that I'll just quilt it and then I'll just trim it up. And I have these nice fancy lines to follow already. Fusible fleece, quilting cotton, you know, whichever one you're going to use. Move this out of the way. There's my mess, all my extras. So again, these are quite large. I could take this And I could either use the butterfly or the turquoisey aqua color, and I could put a strip down at the bottom of it and turn it into a tote bag because it's wide enough for the tote bag. Or I can just, who says I can't have a wide zipper pouch, right? Where is my ruler? So my zipper pouches are normally 10.5 inches wide and 8 inches tall, or 9 inches wide and 5 inches high. So I can look at this and say, oh, well, I played with this and I probably went a little crazy and cut them too wide or cut too many. Here, let me pull up one we can actually see. So I can always look at this and say, well, okay, I don't want it to be any wider than 12.5 inches. Or I don't want it to be any wider than 9.5 inches. So I can say, wow, with this ruler, if I do the 9.5 inch, I can take these 2 wedges off and then just play with it, or leave it on and just move it around until I get something I like. So if I leave it at 9.5 inches square, I can lose this wedge here completely and just make a zipper pouch out of that. Oh no, Sue. I love any type of the grunge or the blender fabrics. That is like my favorite. My kids don't mind. I don't know about my oldest, Justin. I think me moving into their house is a little bit different because it's not him failing and having to move back home. It's just mom moving in. Plus, I really don't exist. So sorry, Cheryl. It is a total adjustment. It is really hard. And I don't care if someone's been married or with someone for a couple of years or a long time. It just, I was trying to explain to someone, I had the past with my husband. I already had all of those experiences with Rob. Nobody can take away my memories. Well, there are old age and other things that I can lose my memories, but those memories are there, right? If I had them written down or videotape or whatever, they're real, they existed. What I mourned the future, because that was never guaranteed and I didn't get a future. So, you know, it doesn't matter how long you've been with someone or how short. It's really, for me, I always feel like it's the future that I'm mourning and not just, you know, not having them here. Not having them here today, of course, but it took me much longer than I expected, though. Because I think until you lose a spouse or a child or a sibling or whatever the conversation is, I don't think you can fully understand. Because if you say, well, my grandparents both died, or even me, I don't have my parents, or my father and my stepmother are gone, my mother's still alive, but if you don't have them, it's a totally different thing than losing a spouse. I was really surprised at the difference in mourning and how long it lasted compared to, it's not death is just death, and it all feels the same. So all right, we got on that topic now, didn't we? But I'm not going to go ahead and finish these because I feel, I don't know if it's just a headache or I'm tired, but I feel like I can't do these today. I feel like I need to look at them a little bit. They're going to become a zipper pouch, but I want to sit with them a little bit and decide. I don't know why, I just feel kind of funky today. I mean, it's really easy just to say that this one, would we say it's 9.5 by 11.5, that I can easily just take my ruler and say, knock it off, Robin. I have a straightish edge over here. So I can say, excuse my head if it's popping in. I can just take this and trim that there. I don't want to trim all of that yet. I don't want to trim all the way across because there's going to be leftovers. So we said 9.5 by 11.5. So I can't even see the purple. So 11 and a half, if I do that, it's gonna have this weird wedge down there with a little bit of purple. So I'm gonna move it down and just keep an eye on that 11 and a half. Boy, that's not gonna work in any direction. What if I do this? There's 11 and a half. And then I have a funky wedge in both spots. That could work. All right, we're gonna do it. Sorry, brain, we're working without you. So there's 11 and a half. And if I want to do 9 and a half, I have a straight edge down there. So if I go ahead and just say, forget it, ignore the brain, I'm going to do it. Ah, I did it. Oh no. Yes, even when you guys aren't here, I'll go, ah. Yeah, I can do it another day. But I can also do it today. So there it is. I have, you see on both sides that they're almost even on that side. Sometimes I just tell myself, you know, I'm not going to do it. I don't feel right. My headache is just, my head hurts. I'm confused. I'm lost. What am I going to do? And then sometimes I say, you know what? You're just playing with fabric. If you get it mixed up, oh, Lucy, have fun. Enjoy. Yeah, I'm not going to make it totally into a pouch, but I just want to show you how to trim it up. See, I just tried to put it semi-even. You can be really methodical and measure it and everything like that. But this one, well, maybe I can make, you know, I could make a front and back out of this. This is so large, I can make a pencil pouch. I don't know how long pencil pouches have to be. Do I have a pencil? I have a pencil. That would work. You could put a lot in there. So maybe we'll make this one a pencil pouch, right? So I will just fold this one. Check. So look, that's fun on that side. Oh, I like that idea. Oh, I'm going to do that. See, I feel better now. Now I feel happy. It looks like a crown. Yeah. So now this one we can also have it like that. But this one doesn't feel like a pencil pouch. This one feels like a pencil pouch. I'm going to make it a pencil pouch. So I am going to peek and see where that is there. So line it up even at the bottom. So I have a straight edge there. Wiggle this up, up, up. You know, if this gets totally messed up, say I have a backup. In my world, in my creative world, there's always a backup. Oh no, Robin, you totally bleep this up. I can turn mine into fabric postcards. Wow. I'm surprised too, Jackie, because when my grandmother passed, I can't remember exactly how long they were. I know they made it past their 50-year golden, and she was sick at that time. She had a rare form of Parkinson's, so she was still able to go to the party and stuff, but it was probably another year or two after that, and then she passed. And my grandfather, I mean, she was his whole entire world, so he totally just broke down. And I think that really is what, he lasted longer than we expected, but I think that's really what ended up killing him. So with this one, it's a little different. I'm not going to have a seam on the bottom, so I have to sew the zipper in a little differently, because I will quilt this as an entire one thing and then create a pouch out of it. And it'll just be a skinny little narrow pouch for pencils and stuff, and I feel good about that because this really showcases the butterfly fabric with a little bit of the contrast. And then when you flip it over, oh look, the back is so fun and silly. I like it. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. that's what I did to create this. This one was easy because I didn't have to do any of the thought process because these already came to me like I used the strips already. But they already came to me as like these random strips. So these just cast off scrappy wedges showed up in my mailbox. And I put them in a Ziploc baggie and I thought, oh, well, that looks like fun. What can I do? Oh, well, look, if I alternate them this way, you can actually sew them together. And now that one's going to become a fabric postcard. Just because I'm not going to throw that away. And I can take any of the extra wedges after I look through them. Like I have this one here. Oh, here's one. So I can mix these up a little bit so that they're not all matchy-matchy or something like that. I have this I can bring into it. Because when you're making a fabric postcard, it doesn't have to be all, you know, matchy-matchy identical. You can bring other things into it. And I have all of these that I can even turn these into a hot pad. I can create, that's what's getting me with the Reading Rainbow. I can fly as high or create or something or another. It's just stuck in my head and I can't get the words right. It's fun fabric. Right there, that ends up being 2 fabric postcards. And then these are too big to really just kind of like, you know, waste, so to speak. So these can be sewn together. And they can either be the opposite side of this one, or I could put a purple fabric. I have more of that purple fabric on the back and have this be the front of it. And I have enough for a second one. That one's pretty wide too. So I don't know. It'll probably end up being in a container somewhere. I'll put it in a Ziploc baggie on my shelf. And one day when it's, I call it a rainy day, but it doesn't have to actually be raining outside. It just has to, it has to be a rainy day in my head, if that makes sense. To where your mojo's not gone. You want to make something, but you really don't know what you want to make, so you just play with something. So then I just pull out, I've been adding new things into my bin. So I have these little squares and these little 9 patches and stuff. Now they won't go together, but I have all of these. Maybe these might go into something else. Oh, look at this fabric. It's chickens. I didn't notice that. It's chicken fabric. There's some strawberry and watermelon. Now those are tiny half square triangles. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and close it down for today. Thank you for putting up with my brain that's not firing on all 8 cylinders, so they say. But I think you can do a lot with just playing with fabric and playing with the wedges. If the only thing you have and the only thing you can do is just to play with your Dresden one, you're just going to get wider, chunkier ones, and it's not going to take as many to make a project. What I think this works out really great for is making something like this is when you have the leftover pieces. Because you can always cut this in half and make something smaller. Because if this purple was cut in half and this purple was cut in half, you know, they can still go together. You would just have something a little narrower, and that would work out better because this is actually a little bit too wide. And that's why I like to play with something first. These were pretty short and I only used the top of the Dresden. Thank you, Giovanna. So I only used the top of the Dresden, so it made it a little bit different. So you do have that option. You can use just a portion of it or use the entire blade. Totally up to you. But I'm not going to drag it out. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Enjoy your weekend. I hope you guys have a great rest of your St. Patrick's Day. And I will see you guys. Look for a video. I'm going to say Monday if I get it edited on time. But just quick little video. I'll give you guys a quick sneak peek without actually saying much about it before I let you go. Scrap Applique Playground. I'll see you guys later. Bye.